Your hairstyle very likely could be aging. And the worst part is, you had no idea. It could be a small tweak that changes everything and takes your style from making you look older, actually making you look more youthful. So by the end of this video, you're gonna understand what to look for. You're gonna understand why a hairstyle actually adds age, or why that same hairstyle, done a little bit different, can actually make someone look more youthful. That way, if you decide to change your style, or just change the way you're styling your hair, you know how and why to do it so that you can get the most youthful look. Okay, so if you're new to me, my name is Justin Hickox. I've been a professional hairstylist for 30 years, and the vast majority of my career has been spent really understanding face shapes and hair shape. And I'm actually gonna walk you through some of the makeovers that I've done, and I'll show you before and after photos, and I'll explain not just why they might look better, but actually what's going on that helps the client look more youthful in that style. So with that said, let's hop into the first makeover. This is one that I did for a video a while back. There's a competition against actually other creators, and it was tons of fun.
This model did not want to get any color in her hair, and I was here for the drama.
Obviously, we took a lot of length up, but it's actually where the bulk and everything sits that's really doing us the most service. So, doesn't mean that you have to cut your hair shorter just to look more youthful. No, and we're gonna talk about that here throughout some of these other makeovers. But with this one, the reason that it works well for her is if you notice in the before photo, all of the volume is kind of around the bottom. It's kind of dragging your eye down the shape, and it really kind of creates this kind of draw down feel to her overall face. Whereas if you look at the after, the bob shape, we've actually got that volume taken out of the bottom and it's up a little bit higher towards her cheekbone area. It's kind of the same reason that a lot of people do facelifts, right? It kind of lifts the face. Well, this is that same kind of thing, but in hair. Now, one other thing that we did is we actually colored her hair.
Not really keen on coloring it.
I'm gonna push you on this one. See, a lot of what makes a style look youthful is the movement and the texture within that style. It's keeping it from looking too much like a helmet. Many times hair that's too stiff can have a tendency to kind of age us because it just feels too rigid. Going in and adding some low lights or some dimension with the color gives it that texture that it doesn't have on its own. This is especially true with hair that's gray or that's going gray. A lot of times you kind of lose the pepper, but if we add some of that pepper back, we're gonna get some of that movement and texture. Side note, if you're concerned because you've got gray hair and you don't want to do color because of the maintenance, go back and watch this video. This video will explain exactly why that fear, although I understand it, isn't actually as valid as you think. I'll make sure that all these videos are linked in the description. This next one, number 2, was a lot of fun. But if you look at the before photo, the concern here is that, again, it's kind of a dragging shape. There's really little to no layering going on, and her hair is on a little bit on the thinner, finer texture, which means that it's pretty heavy, creating all the volume down at the bottom, and it's very hard for her, or for you if you've got hair like this, to get volume up at the top or in the crown. And even if you do get that volume, it's gonna be exceptionally hard for you to keep that volume. So with this, being able to take that bulk out of the bottom through taking it shorter and layering it quite substantially helps to create the illusion of volume in other areas up towards like the jaw area or the temple area. It's basically taking bulk out of one area to create the illusion there's more volume in another area where we want it to be. And that's why this works. Now, there's one other thing that you might notice on this, where in the before, where does your eye travel? It travels right to the back, down towards the nape, because that's where the most of the fullness is. But on the after photo, here, where does your eye kind of travel? It travels up the shape towards like the crown area in the back. And that's because that bulk is gone out of the bottom in the nape area, and that hair kind of wraps around the ear towards the chin. So that overall shape of the way the hair is laying and where that lack of bulk is forces the eye to be drawn up to where there's more volume, which is up in the crown area. This not only works because of the fact that we took it shorter, but it works because of the way that it's styled. If your hair is already short like this after photo, simply having that back kind of wrap around behind the ear. We're just gonna go like this at the very nape. We're just gonna push this forward, okay? And then when we tuck this back, all this stuff comes forward. Now that this hair is going forward, it's wrapping up around the ear, comes around, and it's starting to draw more emphasis on the jawline, and it's starting to bring that eye up this way. That alone can make a big difference in actually making the overall style look more youthful. Okay, and makeover number 3. And granted, I know that you're looking at these and saying, well, yeah, but these are totally different styles and it's so much different. Of course they look different. This is not a matter of me telling you that these styles specifically look more youthful. But what I want to get across is all of these things that I'm sharing are different things that help accentuate things about your face shape that will make the overall appearance look more youthful. So you're gonna see that a little bit actually in this specific example. When she came in, her hair clearly was long, but also it's a finer texture. And again, that can be kind of heavy and hard to create volume in. So I brought this length up on this after photo in this makeover because it allowed me the ability to create more layering and take the bulk out of that chin area. And by doing that, it allows the ability to create more volume up around the temple area. And if we look at this, you can see how much more her cheekbones and her jawline and her face is actually more defined in the after photo, and it actually lifts everything up. And that is something that will help us look more youthful. It kind of gives us a little bit more vibrance. Now, not only does this lift the eye up, but it also, those layers in the front help to kind of open the face up a little bit more. So you can see her a little bit more. Because there's not a lot of layering in the front and it's a little bit longer, it's kind of a little bit more closing. And often that can be actually framing in kind of a bad way. It's almost like it just closes you off and it can make it look kind of drawn out. Whereas opening up the face oftentimes can help to kind of give it a little bit more youthful of a feel and really start allowing you to accentuate the structure of your face that we want to accentuate. One other thing that we did here is pretty obvious, and that is that we colored it. Now this is a very important key thing that I want you to take away from this. We went darker with her hair. And the part of the reason is because as you go blonder or lighter, oftentimes, even though it does kind of mimic the gray, it can also start to wash you out and actually make your skin look like it has a little bit less vibrance to it. And if you notice in this photo, we didn't go super dark. We went a little bit darker, but do you see the difference that it does for her skin tone? The amount of richness that it creates in her skin when we actually added a little bit of that depth. We did not change makeup here. This is purely just what the color is actually doing against or playing with her skin. And so to me, it's a little bit of a juggling act. We got to start play with the idea of, well, how much maintenance do I want? And is the effect on my skin tone worth that maintenance? And then once you can figure that out, then you can decide, but I want you to know that that option is there and that you shouldn't just completely wash away the idea of going darker simply because somebody said that it could make your skin look harsher. Yeah, true, but also not true. You know what I mean? Okay, makeover number 4. Let me just stop here. There's some obvious things going on with this one. Number 1, huge change. Number 2, before has no makeup, the after does have makeup. So there's obviously gonna be some discrepancies in this before and after, right? That's not really what I wanna take away from this at all. Many times, I've had clients that thought, well, I've got long hair because I like long hair, but I want to do something different. I just don't want to lose the long hair. The point of this is to show you that if your hair is simply long just to be long, if it is not in a style that is suiting you, and you want it to look better or more youthful, taking it into a style will do that. What does that mean? Well, it simply means that it might mean that you bring the length up a little bit and you layer it a little bit more, but whatever you do to it within that layering, you do it in a way that creates a very specific style. So it's not just a long hair cut, it's a particular style within that long hair. This bob shape is very much a hairstyle. It isn't like a medium length hair that just has some layers. That is a very well-known style. So when you do that, it has a tendency to just feel a little bit more youthful because it feels like it's purposeful and not as much of just hair that's there to be hair. I feel like I'm already gonna get it for that one, but you're watching a video about how to look more youthful. That's one of the ways that you're gonna do it. It is what it is. So gonna get lit up, I swear, for that one. Let's move on. Makeover number 5. Here's the greatest thing about this. If you notice, there's not a big change in length here, but there is a huge change in what it does for her face shape. And I'm gonna share a little tip with you here that is gold for folks that have rough lengths like this. And some shorter lengths as well, even some longer lengths. You'll hear it, you'll get it. So if you look at the before photo on the left, you'll notice that all of the volume is down at the bottom again. Do you see that shape from the top to the bottom? It's that triangular shape. I talk about this all the time. I'm sure you've heard it before. Wherever your hair has got the most volume, that's typically where the person that's looking at you, where they're gonna focus towards. So if that more volume area is on the upper part of your face, it's gonna draw the eye up. If that volume is bigger at the bottom down here, It's gonna draw your eye down. And that's what you're seeing with Karen's hair on the before side right now. Her face feels even longer. It just drags everything down and just ends up looking less youthful. Now shift over to the right side or the after photo. Now where is the volume? Again, the volume is taken out of the sides around her chin and actually lifted up towards her cheekbone area. And I've got it styled back off of her face, so we're really opening her up a little bit more. If you notice a difference in her face shape, do you see how much more defined her jaw looks? Do you see how much more lifted her cheekbones look? Do you see how much less volume is around the bottom area where her cheeks are, and how much more volume is up around the temple area, and how that actually affects the face shape? Makes a massive difference. And that is about 80% of how we really dial in creating a more youthful shape in just about any style or length. One of the little tricks we did to this is I actually flat ironed everything below the temple. So all of this hair, the temple to the occipital bone, this bone back here, all of that hair at the bottom, actually flat iron that pretty straight. Because it's heating evenly from both sides of the hair at the same time, it kind of smooths that out and makes it lay even flatter, or it's almost like each section, it makes it lay smaller. It can take thicker hair and make it feel like there's just less density there, so it lays it a little bit tighter. Then we round brushed the rest of it. So she got the volume up around the top where she wanted it, but the sides naturally laid in a little bit more, so it didn't get the volume around the cheeks quite as dramatically. Pretty much any length that's like bob shape or longer, that's a good little trick for you. So try that. Let me know how it works. Okay, makeover number 6. This one is really very interesting to me because I use the word age you or look older or look younger a lot. It's really actually not what I agree with at all. I hate that terminology. It doesn't fit with the ethos of my channel, of the way I think about hair at all. I have to use those terms because they work. They get people to click on things. And if I don't use them, then nobody would ever see any of these videos. But the most important thing that I want to get across when I say things like looking more youthful is that youthfulness comes from, one, confidence. But when it comes to hairstyles, youthfulness is more about looking the best and feeling the best that you can at whatever age you are. It's to say, I don't want to look like I'm 20 if I'm 40. I just want to look amazing at being 40. And that's what this is about. Work with me here. Look at the before photo on this. I might look at her and say that long hair actually in some ways makes her look younger. But that's different than looking more youthful. On the right, I feel like she looks more kind of alive and vibrant and there's more movement. And while it may make her kind of look more, I don't want to say more her age, and that technically might be older than the other style made her look, the before photo, I think regardless, it is a vibrant and youthful approach at an appropriate age that she is. I don't know if I explained that well. I really hope I did because I think it's a very important point, but I just don't want to come across like, oh, she looks so much older in the after photo, because that is not it. I think the after photo looks great. I think the after is accentuating more jaw structure. It lifts the face and the eye a lot more than the before photo. The point is that one has a tendency to look a little bit on the younger side, whereas the after still has a very youthful feel and she looks youthful and vibrant and alive, but it technically doesn't look younger. I think that is more the before photo. Did that make sense? I hope so. She was amazing, super sweet, love her to death. I think she's awesome and she looks incredible both ways. Let me just throw that out there. Moving along. It's another one. Man, this is like a touchy subject. I feel like I'm really like, I'm taking my chances. I'm taking my risks. Number 7, makeover. This is huge. This is one of the big ones, so pay attention. One of the things that happens as we age for many of us is that our hair gets thinner. Mine definitely did, and lots of other people do as well. And one of the biggest concerns that I hear struggles with people is that that thinness makes you feel a little bit self-conscious. It's frustrating, and you wanna get a style that makes your hair look more dense. If you look at this photo, these two photos were taken on the same day with about 2 minutes apart, but the before left side looks very different. You can really see that scalp, whereas the right side, you don't see the scalp at all. I just used hair fibers. Talked about them multiple times on the channel. I'll make sure there's a link below so you can find them. But these just spray in. I use them. In fact, I'm using them right now. I spray it in right around here and it just makes the hair look denser. It doesn't weigh it down. It doesn't build up. It rinses out the next time you wash your hair. You don't have to really shampoo it. It just rinses out with water. But if you go out in the rain, it doesn't like drip down your scalp or anything. I've had no issues with it. It does an incredible job at giving the hair dimension and making it actually so that you don't see the scalp through it and makes the hair look denser. Best way to look more youthful is to feel more youthful. Best way to feel more youthful is to feel more confident. Spray some of those at the root, you're good to go. Okay, the next two are great because these are styling tips. So even if you don't want to change your hairstyle, meaning cut it shorter, these are going to help you. Okay, this next one, we cut her hair, then styled it one way to show you it kind of, as it says, incorrect. And then I styled it again, restyled it to show you what it looks like as done correctly. So this is purely just a modification in the way that you approach the styling process. When you look at the incorrect photo, again, really gonna drive this point home, where does your eye go? It goes to the side, right around technically the cheekbone area, which is what I talk about, but it's really full right around like the top of the ears. It indents right above that, and then you get a little bit of fullness on top. So realistically, even though the volume is kind of where it should be, it's not, because right above that, that dent in kind of draws that eye down a little bit more. On the right side, the correct side, that volume is actually where it's supposed to be. So we've actually filled that little dented area in. And you see the difference now. It tapers in around the cheekbone. So now it's following the actual structure of the face. And that's what lifts the eye and actually gives it more of a youthful feel. There's actually no more volume on the top on the correct side. In fact, it's actually a little bit flatter on top, but it looks proportionate. The volume looks appropriate. So it isn't always about just getting more lift on top to get that look. Sometimes it's about where the volume sits on the sides, and that oftentimes can create the illusion of the correct amount of volume on top. Now, from the side, there's one other thing that we've got going on here, which is really important. You see how that back around the nape area kind of comes forward a little bit, and on the incorrect side, it actually comes back a little bit. It kind of falls towards the center. Do you see the difference in how that actually brings the eye, wraps the eye around, brings the illusion of more volume on the correct side into the crown area, and kind of accentuates more of jaw structure. So if your hair is shorter, simply doing this after you get it all styled, bring that nape forward, bring that hair forward, kind of wrap it towards your chin. That's a cheat code. I promise you from the profile, and you can see it right here, how much of a difference it makes. Again, I'll link all of these videos in the description so you can find them, and you can use that little structure for almost any haircut, especially if it's like a bob length or shorter. But realistically, this whole process works for any length. All right, and makeover number 9, Justin, it's wavy in one and it's straight in the other. Of course it's different. Yes, that's not really the point though. It's not so much that there's the wave, it's more, again, where that volume sets. So we took a little bit more bulk out of that bottom, and it gives us a little bit more volume on the top. Whereas on the before side, all of that volume, or the majority of it, feels like it's down at the bottom. That flat kind of overall look does that triangular shape and ends up just kind of dragging the eye down. If we want to feel and look more youthful with our hairstyle, one of the best things that we can do is to lift the eye, and by doing so, lift your face through where we put volume. And 9 out of 10 times as we age, the best, most effective and efficient way that we can achieve that is by creating less volume around here and therefore creating a little bit more volume up around here. That does not mean adding just volume on top, because if you look at this before photo, you'll notice that the volume is on top, but it still isn't actually lifting the eye because there's still more volume at the bottom. So what we want to do is take that volume down like we did even in her bob, create less volume around down here, a little more volume up here by comparison, and then we're going to start accentuating things about the face. I hope all that made sense. I know that was a lot, so I hope it did make sense though. Let me know if you've got questions, you know where I'm at, comment below. Otherwise, if you liked this video, you're gonna love this one. So go watch that next. I'll see you over there. Thank you for hanging out. We'll see you in the next one. Oh my gosh, I feel like that one really could have got me in trouble. That could have gone bad. That was a lot. I hope that none of that came out wrong.